Hi there, this is Crystal, and today I'm working in my 2018 December Daily album. This is the album that I'm using. It's a 6x8 album from Becky Higgins' Project Life. It has a bit of ick on the front from the adhesive. That had this huge sticker across the front, and when I took it off, it left some marks, and when I tried to kind of rub off that extra adhesive, it actually marked into the cover. So I'm not real thrilled with that, but it is what it is. It's fine. It's not a big deal. This album, I'm sure, will get beat up over the years anyway, and I won't even notice the schmutz on the front. So this is what I have, and all I've done so far is just do a very simple cover page. So I knew in writing my intentions for the month that I wanted to focus on joy. That's really what I want our focus to be on this month. So Jesse and I sat down one evening and we created this together. He helped pick out the paper and which embellishments to use on the front. And then we added another paper on the back and just a couple stickers from the Simple Stories collection that I'm using this year. And just a bit of pom-pom trim on the side. I added that a little bit later because it just looked a little plain to me. So that's all I have done so far. So I'm a bit behind. I know how I want to include my intentions. I've known for a little while. And I was thinking, I think I was overcomplicating it. I was making it more complicated than it needed to be. So let me show you my idea first. So I have this ornament. It's actually a Hallmark keepsake ornament. It was the first one that my grandma bought me. She used to buy them for me every year, and this was 1991. And I actually was shopping with her at our local drugstore and saw it and just loved it. I thought it was beautiful, and then she ended up getting it for me for Christmas that year as part of my Christmas present. So it has a little hinge, and it opens up to this really adorable winter scene inside, and then it has the year 1991 there on the bottom. So I wanted to recreate this. I wanted to make my intentions page reminiscent of this. So what I decided to do was to use some red glitter paper, and I have two options here. One is from the Paper Studio and one is Coordinations. The Paper Studio one is a bit heftier, it's a bit thicker, so I think I'm gonna go with that one. And my idea was to use my silhouette to cut two heart shapes, one of which would be cut down the center as an opening page, and then to put my intentions inside. But my silhouette is still packed away. I haven't gotten it out yet, and the idea of having to get it out and set it up was keeping me from getting this page done. So instead, I decided to I just Googled a heart shape and then opened it in Photoshop and resized it so that it would fit in the album. And I'm just gonna cut this out by hand and trace it onto the back of this paper and cut that out twice. And then for the inside, for the little winter scene that's on the inside here, I want to use this paper, which is really what made me think of it. Seeing this reminded me of the scene, and I think it'll be perfect for the inside. And then I just typed out my journaling in that same Photoshop file, just added a text box over the top of it and made it fit into that heart shape. And like so many others I've seen, I was very inspired by Brandy Kincaid and her letter writing, so my intention is in the form of a letter to the month of December. So I will, once I cut this out, I will trace it over the top of this and cut this out as well, and then get it all put together. So I'm not gonna make you watch me cut and trace. I'm gonna go and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have everything cut out. You can see I just cut out my little template and then traced it onto the back of each of these three and cut around them. And then to get my journaling, I laid it over the top, and because I printed this on just regular printer paper, I could actually see through to the printed journaling underneath. So I just traced around that, but I did have to do it on the front, so I need to just quickly go around and erase the pencil lines that are left over, and then I will be able to start adhering everything together. So because they're hand cut and therefore imperfect, I know that they're not going to line up perfectly with each other, but I figure I can trim off a little bit of the bits that are hanging over, and then I'm just gonna have to live with the imperfection of the rest of it, which doesn't bother me too much. So I'm gonna go ahead and start adhering this down. And this is just, this is some dot roller adhesive from scrapbook.com. And it tends to work pretty well. I know I've mentioned before that I've been looking for a new roller adhesive, and I don't think that this is the one I'll stick with. It works fine, and I'm you know, fairly happy with it, but it does have some drawbacks as well. So I'm still on the hunt. I do have another one that one of you suggested, and I cannot pronounce it. I think it's a Japanese name, but I did buy a few of those to try, so we will see how that goes. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my smaller scissors and just trim around some of this extra that's hanging off here. Oh, and you know what I forgot to do first. So let me see if I can actually get this back up. Oh, this is what happens when I'm on camera and then I get ahead of myself and forget what I'm doing. Okay, I got that side up a little bit. See if I can get this one. Of course, I need to hinge these together, right? They are going to be like a booklet, so they need to be attached somehow. Okay, so that's the good thing about this particular adhesive. It does come up fairly easily within the first few minutes, I guess. So I'm trying to think. Oops. Okay, so I think I'm just going to cut a little strip of cardstock and use that as a hinge for each side. So I'm gonna go do that and I will be right back. Okay, so I ended up using just regular printer paper because I felt like that would bend a little bit better and not be so bulky underneath all of these layers. So I just cut a 2-inch strip and I have glued it behind between these first 2 layers, and then on this side I've added it to the back of the front. So for this side, because I don't have it cut in half yet, I'm going to have to adhere this first and then cut it in half, and then I can add it to the other side. So let's do that. I'm going to add that same roller adhesive, and I think that this should be sturdy. Oh no, and it's out. Okay, let me grab another one. Okay, finally have the replacement. Can start again. I think I was just saying that I think that this should be sturdy enough. I mean, it's just paper to paper, so just this roller adhesive should be good enough to stick all of this together. So I'm going to stick this on the back of here. You know, I think I am just going to have to trim them in half first. So let's just go ahead and do that. See, this is the joy of watching the process, right? You get to see all of my foibles and mistakes as they happen instead of the edited version. Okay, so there is that. I'm going to set that aside and adhere this side down. Get it, oh, sorry, there. Lined up into the center there. And then I can trim this in half. Get it lined up with the cut I've already made there. There. Okay. And then, so basically, this is going here. And then that is sticking down there. And this is going on top. to it. Okay, so that is, oh, I think I got that one too close there. Okay, that is the basic idea of this intentions page. And of course, it's going to have some method of closing here, and then it's going to have to also go into the album, right? So it needs something that will adhere it to the album. But first, I'm going to trim off all of these edges that are sticking out and make it look just a little bit more finished. Okay, so I have my heart all trimmed up, and you can see it's not perfect by any means. It's a little bit rough in places, but it's handmade, and it's supposed to look a little rough. It's not supposed to be perfect. So I'm totally happy with the way that it turned out so far. The next step is to add a closure. So if you remember on the original, it had this little hinge closure, which is adorable, but I don't have anything like that, of course. What I do have are these little star brads, and I think that these came from an Ali Edwards kit, maybe. To the best of my recollection, that's where they're from. So I think I'm going to add one on each side and then add some of this baker's twine to each, and then tie it in a bow in the center to close it. So that is my next step. I have a little setting mat that I think should work for poking the holes in here, and I want to do them at the same time so I get them lined up correctly. I'm hoping that this will work. It's a little bit wonky, I guess. It's a little bit wobbly because it was hand cut, and which definitely makes me think maybe it would have been worth actually, actually getting out my silhouette and getting that set up to do this, but that's not what I did. So that's okay. This will work just fine, I'm sure. Okay, so I'm gonna try about right there, I think. And then just across on the other side, about the same distance. So I'm going to try that and see if I can get these to go through. Sorry about my head. It looks like I'm going to have to, where did it go? Didn't go all the way through the paper. Okay, see if that will work. There. Okay, so of course you're going to see the other side of the brad on the other side of the paper, but that's totally fine with me. That doesn't bother me at all. There's the other one in. Okay, so I need to cut some twine, and I think I'm just going to eyeball it for now. Make sure they're about the same length. Okay, now to attach it, I think I'm just going to tie it around the base of the brad. I think that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll just trim off the edges. Let's try that and see how it works and whether it actually stays put, or if I need to try to maybe glue it or something else. Okay, now flip it over and push down. I'm going to turn it just a bit. Okay, and then I think I can just trim off this little excess here. Oh, my scissors are getting dull. I need to either find some place that can sharpen them or get a new pair. I hate the idea of just throwing something away when it just needs sharpened, but I don't know if anybody does that anymore. I know you used to be able to go to like Joann or someplace like that, and they had a service that would sharpen your scissors for you. I don't know that if that's a thing anymore, so we'll see. But they're definitely getting a bit dull. Oh, and then I twisted this one. Actually, it probably should go on the inside, shouldn't it? Okay, I will change the other side then to match. Okay, let's see. There, I think I can just twist the whole thing around like that. Okay, and now I need to trim off this little bit. I probably could have done a better job of trimming those little ends off. Let's see if I can push it back out a bit and get a closer cut. I don't want it to come untied, and maybe it wouldn't be I'm sorry about my head. Maybe it wouldn't be a terrible idea to add a little bit of glue back behind here just to keep everything in place. I may go back and do that after I've finished here. Okay, try and get this one cut a little bit closer. The edge out. I really do need sharper scissors for this. Okay, I think that should do it. Okay, so that is the basic idea. Then these will close like so, and I can just tie a bow here to close it, and then I can open it up to read the intentions. And these are clearly way too long, so let me get a bow tied and then cut them shorter as well. And then we need to get this whole thing into the album somehow. So my plan for that is to use an Avery tab and just adhere it to the hinge on one side and punch a hole for for the actual ring. So I want it to go there. I have this 1-inch Avery tab, and my plan is to adhere it to this hinge. If I can get it open. And it's going to take a little bit of finagling just because I need to make sure that that hinge is all the way in there so that it's really secure. And then hopefully this will still open and it'll still function like I want it to. That's going to be the big question now. Okay, so I have it attached and I can use my hole punch. Okay. Oops. Just use my hole punch to add a hole to that tab, and then it can slide in like that. So that is the idea, and then hopefully it will actually open. We'll see. Yes. Yay! It worked. Okay, so it took some doing, but we got it done. So that is my intentions page, and I do have a couple other kind of beginning pages planned for the album before we actually get into the days of December daily. So I will be back soon to share those with you.